Hello, everyone. My name is Melanie Au, and I am so happy to be here today. I love being a part and being a member of Women in Product. I love our shared passion for product, and I love witnessing every day women supporting women, women empowering women, answering questions, jumping in to help. And it's a wonderful sense of camaraderie. So I'm truly honored to be selected to speak at this year's conference, especially with the theme of Restore and Rediscover. I chose my topic thinking about the last 2 years and the importance of leading through adversity. And I hope that with this topic, all of you can leave this talk and spend this next 20 minutes with me and then leave this talk feeling restored and also rediscover a true sense of empowerment and a sense of confidence in your leadership. Before I get into the main topic, allow me to introduce myself. I'm going to take a couple of minutes and talk about who I am because it provides context to the framework that I'm going to share. And so if you take a look at the left side of the slide, you can see two of my most proudest accomplishments. I have 2 kids under the age of 10, and it is a busy household and it is active. And we love supporting our Toronto Football Club. We love soccer. We're a soccer family, and we are so proud of Team Canada for making and qualifying for the World Cup. My husband and I also root and value community involvement. And so you'll see that my kids are dressed up in their Halloween costumes and collecting canned goods to support our favorite local food bank. I also sit on the board of directors for the Toronto Scott Mission, and we're undergoing a $100 million transformation project to introduce affordable housing to downtown Toronto. And last year, I co-founded Together Network. And for all the Canadians listening out there, check us out at togethernetwork.ca. This is a place, this is a community of women there to support one another, there to learn and grow together across industries. So now if I take a look at my career, I have some photos here. You'll see me in a hard hat, and that represents my time in the energy sector. I started my career there, and this was specific to a time where I led an outside sales team, and we were selling in the commercial and industrial sector. And so that's me standing in the bucket of a $20 million shovel. I then moved on into retail, where I led a team and was accountable. I had P&L accountability for almost half the country's retail-controlled gasoline stations. I then pivoted again into digital product management and fell in love. I managed 7 product lines, and then pivoted again to financial services, where I now work for the Big Five, CIBC. And I'm so proud of my team, who is now leading 2 massive digital transformations. And so all of this represents joy, chaos, busyness, accomplishment, but also a lot of learning, a lot of hardship, and a lot of struggle. And when I think about what got me through the difficult times, both in my personal life, but mainly in my professional life as I was leading teams, I came up with a framework and I came up with commonalities in my learning. And so let me share with you this framework. My framework is simple. It's the 3 C's. And so coaching, courage, and circle. So let me walk you through these 3 C's. The first one, coaching. You can see here photos of coaches in sporting activities. And for those of us who are less athletic, voice coaching, acting coaching. And so take a moment, think about it. What are the qualities of a great and effective coach? For me, an effective and the qualities of a great coach include 5 main items. The first one is presence. And so you'll see in these photos, effective coaches, great coaches, they're not sitting up in the rafters in a VIP box. They're right there in the thick of things. And when you think of difficult times, the most effective coaches are standing right there alongside their team. The second quality is the ability to give relevant and timely feedback. And those qualifiers, relevant and timely, are important. And some of you might be even asking, in a really, truly difficult time, do we even need to give feedback? Is that the right time? Well, I would say when you're leading product leaders who are working with others, when you're leading leaders who are leading large teams, it is important to be there, to be their sounding board, It is important to be there to provide some feedback. And timing is important, but relevancy is also incredibly important. And that support will enable your teams to perform at a different level. Great coaches always know how to give that feedback to get and unlock the next level of performance. The third quality of a great and effective coach is motivator, being a fantastic motivator. Great coaches motivate their teams to perform at levels that even the teams themselves could not imagine. And so during difficult times, you need someone to believe in you more than you believe in yourself. The fourth one, you take a look at the coach that's in white and she's got her arms out and she's passionate about something. To me, this represents advocate. The quality of a great and effective coach this is an individual that always advocates for their people. In difficult times, you need to know that your leader has got your back. You need to be that, as a leader, you need to be that source of strength, provide that protection, advocate for your people. And all of this, I would say, leads to the fifth quality, and that this coach, this great and effective coach, leads individuals by knowing the total person, not just one aspect, the athlete or the singer or the product owner or the product manager. Effective coaches understand the whole person. And that makes you all that much better equipped as a leader to address all the other aspects. And so coaching is the first C in the framework. The second C, courage. And so I'll quote Nelson Mandela. I learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it, he writes in The Long Walk to Freedom. And when you look up courage, you will also often find courage and fear hand in hand. And I found this acronym to describe fear in the face of courage. And I'd love to say that I saw this and I read this in the Harvard Business Review or something like that, but I saw it on TikTok, but it still works. And for me, fear, face everything and rise. Courageous leadership is absolutely crucial in difficult times. Why? Because people will follow a courageous leader through anything. We are absolutely right now seeing in the news courageous leadership, and that courageous leader has led and inspired their people to follow them, to face evil and face everything and rise. But courage can also be found in the workplace. What does that look like? It could be the courage to learn something completely new, the courage to admit that you're wrong, courage to stand up for something different, the courage to be different, the courage to be vulnerable. And so there's evidence, and if you look for it, there's evidence of courage everywhere. Courage is also something neat. Courage begets courage. And so you need to start somewhere. And often, your first courageous act is like a muscle, and it needs to be developed. It often then gives you enough confidence for a second courageous act. And so courage begets courage. It's not only within yourself as a leader. As you are demonstrating courage, it also inspires and you are role modeling courage for others. And so your courageous leadership is now going to benefit and inspire your teams to act courageously. And so courage begets courage. And then before you know it, your team is able to do very difficult things, to face the impossible, and to do it, to rise. The third C in my framework is circle. And when I take a look at this slide and I take a look at all of these faces, it doesn't represent everyone, but it's a great representation of my circle. Why is this important during difficult times? Well, as a leader, in order to make sure that you are well and that you can be there for others and be effective, be that coach, demonstrate and practice courage, you need a circle of support. And so I often quote the thing that you hear on flights. At first, put on your own oxygen mask before you help others. This circle is going to be your oxygen mask. So 2 observations of the circle. The more narrow your circle is, the more narrow the perspective and the more narrow your feedback will be from your circle. The broader your circle is, and so if you take the time to cultivate a very broad and diverse circle, the amount of perspective that comes back to support you, to challenge you, and to motivate you is completely different. And so invest and cultivate that broad circle of friends. Here, I have all types of women in all industries. I also have women that have chosen to stay at home and be with their families. And this brings a richness in the types of feedback that I get. The second observation about the circle is so simple, but so challenging and difficult to execute. I personally struggle a lot with this. And the second observation of your circle is once you've cultivated it, you need to be okay to ask for help. Ask for help in the form of, can you give me some feedback? Can I play back a one-on-one, a difficult conversation that I had and give me your opinion? Am I doing the right thing right now? Your circle will give you that feedback, but you first need to ask for help. It can be for everyday things too. Again, like I say, I struggle with this, so I am not great at this, but I do find it extremely rewarding when I'm able to put into action. This summer camps finally reopened for kids, and all the ones that my kids selected, obviously they all end at 4, which is a major problem for me because I can't commute back home from work to pick up the kids in time. I would have to leave at something ridiculous like 2 p.m. in the afternoon. And so I sat with this for a long time and I did nothing with it. And then finally I went to my circle of friends and I said, you know what, I won't be able to sign my kids up for this camp. Thank you very much. And then more than one woman spoke up and said, sign your kids up. I'll pick up your kids. I'll go get them. Your kids can stay with me. So the circle came and saved me. And then another story I'll share of myself and learning the importance of asking for help is I showed you a photo of 2 kids, but I actually have been pregnant 5 times. My first loss was the most devastating because I completely did not expect it. And I was coming on 12 weeks. So for those of us who know motherhood, know that 12 weeks is your first trimester. And I was gearing up on that Friday to announce that I was expecting to my leader. Unfortunately, on the Monday, I discovered that I was no longer pregnant. I was heartbroken and devastated. And yet through that time, I decided to continue on and participate at a work conference. And I was also signed up to be a speaker. And that for me, I wanted to honor that commitment. And so I took a flight and I landed. And the first thing that I did was I ran to the hotel room of a dear friend and colleague. And she's represented today here in one of these photos. Her name is Shannon. And I knocked on her door. I told her what happened. And then I asked for help. And I said, I need you to get me through these next 3 days. And you know what? For the next 3 days and 3 evenings, she was by my side. And I got through that challenging time because I asked for help and she was there. So your circle, cultivate a broad circle and then ask for help. I'm going to shift gears now and I'm going to share a story that my team at that time went through, including myself, and it was one of the most challenging times ever. And it does speak to the framework, and I used that framework unknowingly at the time, and it really helped us get through a very difficult situation. And so think back to the early days of the pandemic, and 6 months into it, October 26, 2020, I will never forget that date, we were asked to attend a virtual all hands. And we were told in that all hands town hall meeting that they had made the decision, the difficult decision, to move the sales and marketing headquarters from Toronto to Calgary. So for the Americans that are listening, it's like saying moving the head office from New York to Denver. I quickly realized that that was not going to be a possible thing for my family at that time. And my 7 product leaders also came to the same conclusion for their families. And so the 8 of us, leading a broader team of product owners and product managers, realized that we were facing joblessness. The second piece of information that we received is that we would receive no more new information for the next 90 days at least. And so we were to sit with this information and this bad news without any further instruction or detail or action for another 90 days or more. Think about that. At the same time, we also have the obligation to deliver. The releases don't happen. The sprint teams and the scrum continues. And so we were on the hook for delivery. And when I think back to that time, I leaned in heavily to this framework. So coaching, the 5 elements of coaching. As much as I wanted to hide my head in the sand and think about myself and my own situation and scenario, I knew I needed to be present for my team. So 24/7 availability to talk, to listen. And they were very respectful and did not take me up on the 24/7 part, but we did spend a lot of time talking on one-on-ones, and I spent a lot of time listening. The second element of being a great coach was the ability to provide feedback. And at that time, it was just about listening, being a listening ear, being able to be a sounding board for these leaders as they were navigating through this with their teams. The third thing of being a motivator, I had to really understand how we were going to move our delivery and achieve all of our delivery requirements and think through how we were going to get that done. And I tried to leverage all of our sprint ceremonies, our sprint reviews, celebrate all the wins, and put an overemphasis on celebration as well as an encouragement to all those to invest a little bit of time into themselves. Finally, the advocating. I spent a lot of time advocating for my people. There were some roles available in Toronto, and there were also some individuals on my team that wanted to transition outside of the organization. And so whatever they wanted, I was there to advocate on their behalf. And then finally, I knew them very well leading into the pandemic, and that served me well because it enabled me to really practice all these elements of coaching with my team. The second piece was the courage piece. The second C in the framework is courage. And I don't know if it was courage at the time, but I really was faced with the impossible and not understanding what was going to happen to myself. And I practiced courage in the form of vulnerability and admitting that I was equally devastated. I was authentic, and I admitted that I also did not know what was going to happen. But what I did know was that I was going to be able to be there for them. That took every bit of courage every day to stand up and to be and to lead my team. The third C, circle. So when I look at all of these faces on the slide, during that 90-day period, every single woman, one of them called me, one of them would Zoom with me, we would go for walks, and that was the oxygen mask that I needed to provide me with a level of support and strength so that I could be there for my team. And so this framework, and as I said at the time, I didn't even understand that I was leveraging this framework, but the coaching, the courage, and the circle, it got me and it got my team through an incredibly difficult moment. And what is amazing about all of this is we came out on the other side and I got to experience excellence from my team, impressive, selfless leadership, and impressive, selfless leadership. And I continue to be proud of them wherever their new adventures are. And so what I'll say is, we can do hard things together. Getting your team through a difficult moment, when you get to the other side, you realize that you are better and you are stronger as a team. And as a leader, you are also better and stronger. And so coaching, courage, and circle. I thank you so much for listening today. I thank Women in Product for giving me this opportunity. I'd love for you to come and join me during my live chat interactive session. So please check the agenda for the details. And I hope you have a great rest of the conference. Thank you so much.